Hello, welcome to the Millionaire Woman Show, where we'll be discussing leadership, business, and human potential, inspiring you to live rich from the inside out. Unlock your creativity, stretch out of your comfort zone, break through your barriers, take inspired action, and achieve epic results. Now, here's your host, two-time best-selling author, speaker, and certified executive coach, Deborah Kasowski.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Millionaire Woman Show. And we have a phenomenal show in store for you. We have Scott Schilling, the significance expert, who is committed to providing inspired answers to today's challenges through his TV show, podcast, speaking, training, consulting, and coaching. Scott helps individuals and organizations systematically grow personally, professionally, financially, and spiritually. No matter where you are on your path, from survival to significance, from survival to success to significance, Scott gives the guidance, direction, and the action steps necessary to get you from where you are to where you want to be. Scott brings unique combination of 35 plus years of life experience in sales, marketing, training to corporations, business owners, entrepreneurs, and individuals. He has presented at nearly 2,000 live events, sharing the stage with General Colin Powell, Rudy Giuliani, former First Lady Laura Bush, and many more. As an international, accomplished, and entertaining presenter, Scott has spoken to hundreds and thousands of attendees across a range of industries. Scott brings a wealth of knowledge and expertise to the airwaves, boardroom, podium, and print. Scott has written 10 books to date, including recently released Without Customers, You Got Nothing. Scott is a highly sought after significance expert because of the results he produces. His training propelled one client's business to grow from approximately 8 million annually to almost 80 million in just under 6 years. I would say that's pretty significant. Schilling earned his bachelor's in business administration and marketing and insurance from the University of Iowa, and Scott's life purpose, it's to inspire and empower others to serve humanity through living their life's purpose in spirit, love, and joy. And if you want to contact Scott, you can reach him at scott@scottschilling.com, and we'll have more information for you underneath this video and also on the podcast so that you can connect with him. Scott, I'm so excited. You know what? I have to tell you that I didn't get a chance to share it today, but a picture that showed up on my Facebook feed, you know how it shows the memories?
Right.
It shows that 6 years ago today, I have a picture of you, Charmaine Hammond, and a few other people that we were at the eWomen Network event. And it's just only like a month ago that we were at a mutual business event with Colin Sprake. And I just looked over and I was like, oh my gosh, it's Scott. And I had not seen you. And it says exactly 6 years to today.
That's pretty wild.
Really ironic. And that's why I'm even super pumped to have you on the show today. And thank you for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure. It was great reconnecting. And gosh, it's hard to believe that was 6 years ago. It's just crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, you look the same.
I was hoping to get younger. Dang it.
Dang it. Well, I have a bunch of questions to ask you, but I see right over your shoulder there is Talking with Giants. Can you tell me what inspired Talking with Giants?
Well, basically, we were at Mark Victor Hansen's mega speaking event. There were about 800 of us in the audience. And Cynthia Kersey, tremendous speaker and wonderful, just a wonderful, wonderful person, made this impassioned plea for Habitat for Humanity. And she wanted to create a women's build program, to have women build 40 homes in 40 days. And as she shared the message with everybody, she said, women, we're going to swing the hammers. We're going to drive the nails. Men, the only thing we need you for is your money. And the friend sitting to me on my right said, man, that just really touched me. I'm going to write her a big check. And he told me how much, and it was a big check. And the friend on the left said, well, I'm going to write her a check, but not that big. And they both looked at me and said, what are you going to do? And it was at a time where I was in a corporate situation. We were working to take the company public. So we were in a stock play. So I couldn't write a check. And it was, well, wait a second. I've never felt so small in my life to have something that I wanted to support so badly and have two friends going to do that. And them both asked me what I was going to do. And I couldn't write a check. And so I said, I can't write a check, but I'm going to do something. And they said, what? And I said, I don't know, but I'll figure it out. So I went and I introduced myself to Cynthia. I said, I'm Scott Schilling from Dallas, Texas. I know a lot of people that have a lot of money. I can't very well ask them for their money to give to me so I can help you, but I'm going to do something. She said, what can I count you for? And I said, I got no idea. And she goes, yeah, right. And as I sat there that night, well, as the event ended, Mark Victor Hansen came walking through the lobby with Dear Abby. And he goes, what are you doing? I said, I'm just waiting for my plane. He goes, well, why don't you come to dinner with us? And so here I am with Mark Victor Hansen and Dear Abby and John Childers and Bob Allen and just these really amazing people that I knew. And but I still didn't know what I was going to do, but I said, I know all these giants. Well, wait a second. What if I kind of just told the story of these giants, how they became giants, and maybe we can put it all into a book and then raise money, and then the money can go. And basically, as I was flying home, my head hit the back, and this is nothing more than talking with giants. And that became the name of the book. Jack Canfield, Mark Victor Hansen, Harv Eker, Cynthia Kersey. I said, you caused all this. You got to be in the book. And anyway, the long and short of it is there's 21 charities tied to that book. And it all came because I couldn't write a check, but I could still use the talents and capabilities God's given me.
So that's interesting, because for our listeners, our viewers, we often get in a place where we think we're stuck. We have this idea, we don't know how to do it. And you just demonstrated that no matter if you don't have the ability to write the check in that moment, you can create the opportunities.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is sometimes we forget that we're infinitely talented and infinitely capable. And we have far more resource than we know. And just because we can't, hand over some cash doesn't mean that we can't do something else. I mean, everybody can add to somebody else's existence and life and happiness. I said to an audience on Thursday as I was talking to them, by a show of hands, how many of you know how to smile? And of course, it brings out a smile in people. I said, good, because I was wondering. I haven't seen a lot of those. And I said, but the fact is, if you know how to smile, you can immediately affect two lives, yours and someone else's. Now, is that a cash gift? No. But you never know if that's the one thing that could keep somebody going and go, you know what? There is another decent human being on the planet that cares about me. That's pretty cool.
That is really cool. I'm just going to briefly share an experience I had several years ago, and it's almost 10 years ago. It'll be 10 years ago this fall that I had this idea. It was on my bucket list that I wanted to watch children open shoe boxes that I normally have sent to Ukraine and to the orphanages. But my kids were small, and I kept telling myself, you know what? The kids are too small. I'm not going to be doing that anytime soon. And what I had done is I had seen in our church bulletin that one of the schools was requesting some community support and needed some things. So I phoned them up and I said, this is my idea. I want to deliver shoe boxes. How many kids do you got? How many do I have to find or get people to contribute to so I can get what I want is just watch one child open my box. So I solicited family and friends and all of these people, and we had 125 shoe boxes. We had a Santa. We surprised 125 kids in the gym. And, you know, because you don't do it alone. Your success isn't alone. And I was addicted after that.
Yeah.
And all I wanted was to see one child open the box. But while we were talking with this vice principal, he said, by the way, Deb, my mother is the one who sends the shoe boxes to Ukraine. And I was just like, oh, I was one person away. And you don't realize that. So the following year, I had called them up and I said, can we do it again? That was so much fun. And it was, you know, a lower income, higher immigrant population school. So they had needs. And he goes, you know, Deb, the presents are great. I would love for you to do that again, but can you feed us? And that's when I was like, oh my gosh, I've never done anything that significant, that big before.
Right.
And all I could see was a little kid looking up at me with their hands and an empty plate that said, feed me on it. And it just was a flash. And again, I was like, I don't know how to do this. So I got off the phone and I sat down and I emailed every single person I knew in my email list. And I said, this is what's going on. I need your help. My brother-in-law had contacted one of the culinary instructors he had gone to school with. Suddenly they were cooking the whole meal. I went with letters, and my family, we went with letters to the grocery stores and got sponsorship for turkeys. And someone I had met at a triathlon. One day I was folding clothes in my boy's room and I looked over and I saw a flash of his branding. I know it sounds crazy, but I saw a flash of his branding on their wall. And then I looked away and looked back and it was gone. So I picked up the phone. I left him a rattly message saying, hey, remember me from the triathlon? You had pancakes there? Phoned us back and was in. And he's cooked pancakes. And the Spirit of Christmas pancake breakfast and shoebox campaign continued on from that.
That's awesome. See, I think that far too often people think that it has to be this massive thing. In fact, not this last week, a friend of mine said that somebody he's been coaching over in Nigeria did a Facebook Live from Nigeria, of all places. And he said you could see the background, and the background was pretty nasty. Mm-hmm. But here he is doing it. And one of the comments that came up said, your video is totally uninteresting. Give it up. Try doing something else. Mm-hmm. And my friend said, and I saw him do this video that he responded to it. And I was like, it's so strange that he did that. And I said, will you please tag me on this young guy's video? And I sent a message that said, you know what? Mother Teresa famously said, if you can't feed 100, feed one. Mm. Victor, I just want you to know you've already fed me, Sean, and many others. Keep up what you're doing. If one is all you got, one is all you got. And if it's 100, it's 100. But what you're doing is putting you on the path to success. Proud of you. Keep it up.
Awesome.
And it created this entire string between my friend and myself and Victor and all these other people that then got into the discussion that said, you know what? People make it so hard to help other people. Mm-hmm. Not that hard. You just got to have a little want to. We can teach you all the rest, but if you got some want to, you just got to want to.
Yeah.
If you got that, we can do everything else.
Yeah. And what I love is that what I've learned even through the shoe boxes and what you have perfectly demonstrated is when you impact one person, it creates a ripple effect. I don't solicit volunteers from year to year. People hear about it from word for mouth, or they've been a part of it a year before and they're like, I can't miss this. This is what we do for Christmas. We're part of this event. And they would bring friends, and my volunteers are almost sometimes as many kids as in the school, but they're touched in some way. So even 3 people, it doesn't matter, that ripple effect, because you don't know how you've impacted someone else's life.
Exactly. You got to take a risk from time to time that what you're doing is going to do some good. And ultimately it always does.
And you
may hear about it, you may not. That's really kind of irrelevant.
You had a Facebook post that I saw getting lots of traction the other day, and it's all about that right timing. And when I read your message, is it actually the right timing for me to receive it? And I was, because sometimes we want things to happen so quickly. We think, "Oh, why isn't it happening for me?" And then you can get yourself into this negative spiral thinking, and then you get into the comparison trap. You're watching everybody have these successes and you're thinking, well, why not me? And I'd love for you to touch on that right timing, because you had it so eloquently written and you responded to people's comments. If you don't mind, I'd love for you to address that.
Well, yeah, it's part of it for me is the spiritual side. And whatever your beliefs are, your beliefs. That's great. My encouragement to everybody is to have a belief. Whatever that higher power is to you, I'm all good with that. Personally, I believe that my higher power's plan and timing is perfect. And you can't believe that the plan and timing is perfect and this negative event shouldn't have happened. You can believe the plan and timing is perfect, or you can believe the negative event shouldn't have happened. But you can't believe them both. So you've got to get into that. What really allows you to be at peace and be at rest? And because I've been on the planet for a few years, I've come to realize, as I look back in my career, Garth Brooks had a song here in the States, thank God for unanswered prayers.
Yeah.
And I think that's really true. And hindsight is really great. When you can go back and study your life and you can go back and look at some of the things that were given to you and some of the things that you feel may have been withheld from you. And actually some of the greatest gifts have not been what has been given, but what has been withheld. And so right timing comes to the point. Yes, 6 years ago today, we were together at E-Woman Network in Dallas, at the Hyatt Regency downtown, and it was a great event and we had a lot of fun. But it was right that we reconnected about a month ago.
Yeah. Because
now is the time where you're ready to put out a certain portion of information. And now I'm ready to put out a certain portion of information. And when those come together, then it can become magical. If I was ready in advance or you were ready in advance, it wouldn't be the same potential going forward. Mm-hmm. So I think the thing, when you believe, again, whatever your higher power is, when you believe that the plan and timing is right, this amazing peace falls on you because it's right. All of it's right. You might not like it. You might not understand it, but it's right. And so now you can rest into that and just go, when I do, and I talk about that, I actually open up many of my talks this way. I talk about high intention, low attachment. A high intention of imparting something good in everything I do, and a low attachment as to what that is specifically for either the recipient or myself. So again, if I can become detached, if I can have an intense, like when you asked me to be on this show, hell yes. Okay, but the intention is to impart some nugget, something that somebody grabs onto and goes, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. That I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And not work so hard as to what that is, right? Not be so tactical about it. Be heartfelt, strategic, relational about it. And just have an intention of imparting good. Well, that's kind of what that right time allows you to do. If you truly rest in the place that everything happens at its right time and in its right way. And then I happen to read a manual that takes it a little further that says all things work towards my good. Doesn't say some things. Doesn't say only the things I like. It says all things. Well, when you start to put these pieces of wisdom and knowledge together, all of a sudden you go, God, I can have a much nicer and happier life if I just allow the right time to be exactly that, the right time.
Yeah. You take so much pressure off yourself from saying that you need to have it now. Although sometimes it can be years, sometimes it can be days, it can be months, but knowing that everything falls into the place as it should.
Here's what's interesting, or here's what I've found, again, by my few years on the earth, is the more I release it and stop trying to make it happen now, it tends to happen now.
Good advice.
When you just kind of let it flow, it's amazing how much easier and effortlessly it comes to you.
Yeah. Do you have a specific example that you can share with us that there was something that you wanted and the timing and everything, the patience that goes along with that happened?
Yeah, actually, just not long ago, I had an asset that I was trying to monetize, and somebody talked to me about it months ago, and I had never considered turning it into cash. And they said, "Would you ever consider it?" And I said, "Well, now that you brought it up, I would, but I hadn't thought about it. So, sure."
Hello.
And
No one is
and so all of a sudden it came to a point where I thought about it one day, and I wonder whatever happened to that. Well, if it's supposed to happen, it'll happen. The next morning, I got a text that said, "Can you make a call in 15 minutes?" I made the call in 15 minutes. He said, "Are you still considering selling that asset?" I said, "Well, we hadn't talked about it since our first conversation, but sure." He goes, "Good, I've got a buyer." And it was closed in less than a week.
Wow.
So again, I share these things from a standpoint of what I do, and what I coach my clients to do is create an evidence log. Create an evidence log that supports those positions. Create an evidence log that supports the position of right time, right place, right people, right everything. And when so when that piece of evidence shows up, you can go back and you can go, remember when I had a little bit of doubt, but I just pushed it aside? It happened in 6 days.
Yeah.
You've got evidence.
Yeah, that's powerful. I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to get back to you,
Good. I do it all the time. I really do. All of a sudden somebody says, "How'd that happen?" And I just kind of chuckle and I go, "Gosh, that is so funny. 3 days ago, I thought this," and all of a sudden, poof, it was there.
Yeah. And you get more of what you focus on, right? So once you start looking for evidence, you're going to be finding more evidence. It's kind of like how they talk about if you purchase a car or you have an intention on a car that you're going to buy, suddenly you see them everywhere.
Right.
Kind of.
Your reticular activation system will find, in fact, when I first started my career, I was in the TV electronics appliance furniture business. And we had a guy that could walk through 100,000 square feet of furniture and find every missing button.
Oh my gosh.
And he would just say, "The only thing I'm looking for is missing buttons." And then he'd start walking. And because he said that, that's what his mind looked for, and he could find them. That's your reticular activation system. It's designed to find either good or bad.
Yeah.
So you might as well program it to find some good.
Yeah. You've already departed so many awesome nuggets. Thank you so much. So I'm going to jump into some of the other questions that we have here. And one of them is part of what I had in your bio. Why is it important to have a life purpose statement?
Well, I think if you don't have a plan and you don't know what you're doing, you tend to kind of wander around. So again, as an example, the invitation to be on your show here. Well, let me run it through my filter. To inspire and empower others to serve humanity, that's the audience, so that they can live their life's purpose. Well, that's you and their audience, and the audience. In spirit, closer to God than I've ever been. Love my wife, my family, my friends more than they ever have. And joy. Well, when you and I get together, we laugh.
Yes.
That's going to be joy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'm on the show. See, whereas if somebody said, hey, we could rob a bank today, we could pull down a cool $1 million. Well, let me run it through my life purpose statement. To inspire and empower others to serve humanity. Well, probably not. So that you can live your life's purpose. Well, you might live your life's purpose. That's not really mine. In spirit? Oh, heck no. I'm pretty sure the big fella ain't going to like us robbing somebody. Love? We steal somebody's money. We're not loving anybody. Enjoy? We might be happy, but we wouldn't have joy. So your life purpose statement becomes the filter by which you evaluate opportunities. So that's why I think it's so important. The other thing is it keeps you on track. It just, you know who you are, and you can just live towards it.
Yeah. I love that you say that, because there's so many people that they do things, they later regret them. But if you ran it through this filter to say, let me check in to see if I'm living my highest purpose, and you realize, yeah, I am. That's awesome. Because from what you said, our show is about helping people live rich from the inside out. There's lots of joy and laughter here. And we talk about principles of leadership, business, and human potential. Total alignment. So I'm so glad that you are on this show, helping people in a big way. And that's one of the parts that I look for when I think of my life purpose is I'm here to serve globally, creating meaning in the world.
That's awesome.
And, it's awesome to see that there's such alignment. So I also have heard you talking about becoming an asset to others. What does the acronym stand for, and why is it important?
Well, one of the things I suggest is first of all, and I'm an acronym guy when I train, and I use a lot of acronyms. And the reason I do is because people can remember them. But I recommend to everybody, become an asset to everyone you meet. Asset is a 5-letter acronym for a spontaneous servant every time. Become a spontaneous servant every time. The rest kind of takes care of itself. So the chances of you needing what I do when we first meet is maybe 5%. But the chances of you needing to know something I know or someone I know is probably 95%. Well, if I know that to be true going into a new encounter, doesn't it make sense to become an asset? See how I can become of service to you. Because ultimately, people do business with those they know, like, and trust. If I don't know you, I don't like you. And if I don't like you, I don't trust you. But for us to do business, I have to trust you and you have to trust me. Well, if I become an asset and I work towards your success out of the blocks, the chances of you getting to know me and like me and ultimately trusting me are going to happen quicker and deeper, faster. And so I might as well put myself in that position to begin with. How can I be of service to you? That's being.
How can our audience and listeners become servant leaders?
Well, I think, first of all, it's a decision. I think you decide to do it. Back when I was 17 years old, just a few years ago, I read See You at the Top by Zig Ziglar. And there was a quote in that book that forever changed my life. And it was, you can have anything in life you want when you simply help enough other people get what they want. And so that was a positioning of a servant leader mentality. Probably one of the first books I ever really read in the self-development side was Zig. And fortunately, I got to be friends with Zig, and I'm still friends with the Ziglar family. And in fact, just spoke there a couple weeks ago. But what I learned from that is the positioning of, you can have anything in life you want when you help enough other people get what they want. It's the positioning of, when I help you achieve your goals, your dreams, your wants, your desires, ultimately, I'll get my due. And so if I focus on others, again, not to the detriment of myself, I'm not trying to suggest that, but to the point where I'm going to invest in you openly and unabashedly. I mean, why not? Why not help other people achieve their successes? Ultimately, you'll achieve yours. And it's just the first thing you got to do is you got to decide you want to help people. Actually, the first thing you have to do is you have to decide you like people, right? If you don't like people, it's really tough to serve them. So yeah, you gotta like them first.
Yeah. So thinking of that, people think, well, how many people do I have to help? And should I expect something back from the person I helped? Or is it going to come from somewhere else? I know there's people listening to this who are thinking that right now.
Well, this answer is going to surprise them, I think, because relationships are not a 50-50 situation. If I have a river and I have a tree on this side and I have a tree on this side, and I bend them over and I lash them into a 50-50, that bridge I've created is pretty weak. But if this comes all the way over to 100 and this comes all the way over to 100, and then I lash them, it's now impenetrable. So the point is, relationships are 100-100. And what that means is, if it's 100, I may or may not get anything in return. If it's 100 and there's only 100, you're going to get nothing. Now, I'm not suggesting if you're always giving everything and not ever getting anything to stay there. I'm not suggesting that. But again, it's up in here. The concept is, I'm willing to give 100% effort, time, compassion, love, whatever it is, without any, that's the low attachment side. This is actually the no attachment side, with no attachment to what comes back in my direction. The reality is that there's a law of reciprocity. There are universal laws that when there's a yin, there's a yang. I mean, when we give, we'll have to receive. And it will happen, and it will balance out. Now, will it come from the same person? Not necessarily. But the fact of the matter is, you do enough good long enough good will come back to you, and probably far more than you've contributed.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, when you think of even that individual in Nigeria, just you teaming up with another person, that's far more when you've had this devastating comment that you're like, oh, so if you focus on that one, that it would be all over.
Right. And that's the whole point. I mean, if everything has a string on it, it gets probably gets pretty lonely.
Yeah.
When you're out there serving a bunch of people and doing good, it's amazing how the rewards tend to fly at you.
Yeah. So why is serving so important? I know you addressed this a little bit, but I think you have a little bit more deeper to go on this one.
Well, because I think that's what we've been put here for. I don't think our existence is all about sitting back going, me, mine. It's all about me, feed me. I don't think that's what it is. I think we truly experience love, joy, happiness, compassion, all those things through giving and through working with others. I mean, what I said to all of my mentors, and I've been very, very fortunate to have the best of the best as my mentors. But I said to every one of them, give me everything you got. Don't hold anything back, because I won't keep it. I'll share it with my students. So the point is, if we all were getting into the how can we team up to make things better mode, it's amazing what we can do. So that's why, again, anytime I can do a show, I'm not just imparting what I've learned or what I've created. I'm imparting 18 other mentors that I've had in various areas. I'm a mutt. You know, I've learned from so many different people, and I work to take the best of all of them, but I want to be the best mutt I can be. I want to have the greatest breadth of knowledge I can have that can serve the most people. Because if I can serve people, here's what people don't understand. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, 32 times, touches everybody on this planet. That's it. 2 times 32 iterations of 2 times 2. And we have now touched everybody on this planet. And so when we sit there and we say we want to get rid of hunger and we want to get rid of this and we want to get rid of that, nobody wants to work on the 2. Just tell 2. You know, you do your 2 and let them do their 2. And if we do enough of that, we can make huge, huge differences. That's why I think we got to serve. I think it's just it's a decision that we have to make.
So how can you serve and prosper at the same time?
Well, I think that the fact of the matter is, when you're serving, there's a lot of really cool people that want to serve. And it's amazing who you meet. The way that I met Richard Branson was by helping serve his Virgin Unite charity. There were some cool people there, right? So the point is, how does that prosper? Well, I'm not going to suggest that I'm like this with him. That's not the point. But the point is, I got to meet and get some wisdom that prospers me, because that wisdom now gives me the next step, right? So the point is, when we work in community to make the world a better place, there are some really good people working to do that too. And you create associations. And when people see each other contributing for the benefit of others, well, they kind of do it for you too, right? In your business. Mm-hmm. So serving does allow you to prosper. If nothing else, man, you sleep great. You know, You're tired and you're happy and you're whatever. But the point is, the other stuff shows up.
So how does money come into the equation? You know, we're talking about leadership. We're talking about business. People are wanting to know how to profit as they serve. So how does that work?
Well, I think the bottom line, real simply, is you have to understand. I got the money talk from Jack Canfield, Mark Victor Hansen, when I was one of the first talks I ever did professionally, and they thumped me in the sternum, and it hurt like hell. And they said, son, you've got an obligation to make as much money as you possibly can. And I said, oh, you guys are just all about the money. They said, you think this is about the money? It's not about the money. It's about the 2 things that come when you have money. It's about the influence that you have and the good you can do. So the reality is, we live in an abundant world. There's more money on this planet today than there's ever been in the history of mankind. We have to attract it to us by understanding that I've got lots of good works to do. I need lots of money to do it. The money isn't just for my stuff. The money is to do good works. So bring it on. Higher power, bring it. Because that's what we got to do. There's nothing, money is just energy. Money is value. You know, the fact of the matter is, it's a tool that allows us to do more. So if we want to serve more, do more, be more, the only time that money becomes an issue is when we make it about us, or we make it about the money.
Mm-hmm.
But when the currency is from the word current, flow. Currency is supposed to flow. It's supposed to easily come in and out. We have to set ourselves up and understand that money is a good thing, that it allows us to do good works. So let's work to get some of that good stuff so we can do more good works.
It's true, because if you have this vision of what you'd like to do, like, I love money. I love that there's abundance, but I also love what I can do with it.
Right.
Like, you can't fill a shoebox without putting stuff in it. So I need to have money, or people donating what they spent their money on. So it's a great thing. And watching those kids' faces, unbelievable.
Well, see, that's the price, that's the return for the price that was paid, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so again, exchange the energy, what a great energy exchange to see the dollars go for the shoes go to the kids smile. It's worth it all,
Mm-hmm.
right?
And
So
think about your book, even Talking with Giants, how it has impacted Habitat for Humanity, plus all of the great leaders that you have interviewed, how it has impacted them by your generosity.
Well, and I appreciate that. Thank you. The point is, we can all do more. My dad spoke for the United Way for 37 years, never got paid a penny. And I was like, I don't get it. You go off at night, you're away from the family, you do all this. Why do you do this? And he said, to get people to contribute so that we can do more for others in need. Wow. My mom, when she was 85, came to my daughter's high school graduation, and I noticed she had this new gold watch. I said, Mom, that's not like you to have the bling, I mean, what's this gold watch stuff? She goes, oh, Florida Hospital gave it to me last week for 25 years of volunteering. I said, you started when you were 60? She goes, doesn't everyone? So, part of it is again, I saw it modeled, and I'm not going to suggest that I understood it. I really didn't at the time.
Yeah.
But I really understand it now, or I understand it better. And hopefully with the skill set and the talents and capabilities God's given me, I have the ability to express that to others, that it's worth investing in other people. It's worth investing in kids. It's worth, sharing a little wisdom wherever you can. If somebody's willing to give you a platform, use the platform for good.
Yeah.
Novel concept. It
is. And I have to tell you, I just had a flashback because I worked at Florida Hospital.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Over like in 1995 to 96, I worked there. So you never know. I may have come across your mother when she started volunteering in Orlando, Florida.
She knitted little beanies for babies.
Oh, how sweet. How sweet. So why do you do what you do?
It's fun. It's for the smiles on other people's faces. It's for their successes and going, God, I did something. It's for the accomplishment of knowing that you helped somebody else accomplish something that they really wanted to do. I've had so many great coaches. I played 5 sports growing up. I got to play Big Ten football for Coach Hayden Fry at the University of Iowa. I had professional tryouts. I mean, I had people that really invested in me. And you just see that coaching and everything that you do. And I know how much it impacted me through my life. I was able to then send that down to my kids a little bit. And of course, they don't listen to their parents, but, they'll listen to somebody else. But anyway, I got a message a couple weeks ago from a sales guy that I trained, and And he said, I just want you to know that I just closed the biggest deal of my career from the training that you gave us April 1st and 2nd, 2004.
Wow.
I just got it like 2 weeks ago. It's like, that is so cool, right? So that you know that the impact that you have lasts and lives on. And again, I encourage people, please share it with others. Please take it to the next level.
Yeah.
So that's why I do what I do. I mean, number one, I love doing it. I love learning. And the best way to learn is to teach, actually. So being able to train and teach and speak and coach gives me that opportunity. And I think it's a God-given gift and talent as well. You got to use what you've been given. We haven't all been given the same thing. It's fairly evident. Some of us are men, some of us are women, right? We've been given different things. We're supposed to use them, right? We're supposed to, who we attract and who we can speak to and who we can lift up. It's awesome.
That's what makes you a giant.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. So I'm just going to switch gears for one moment. I want to know about what is 1 to 3. I'll give you up to 3 because you might have a hard time with this one. What is
a challenge. Okay.
Yes. To tell us about 1 to 3 books that have been game changers in your life.
Already mentioned the first one, See You at the Top, Zig Ziglar. It's an oldie and a goodie. Zig is, he's looking down from heaven right now going, yeah, I'm still doing it. Yeah. So that's fabulous. The Success Principles by Jack Canfield and Janet Schweitzer. 64 success principles. It's the success Bible. It's freaking awesome.
It's on my shelf.
I think I got it. It's right behind me here.
It's the reference of all time.
Yeah, and so it's awesome. And oh gosh, there's so many good. I just recently got I Am by Joe Osteen, Your Divine Fingerprint by Keith Craft. Oh gosh, there's so many good books that just get you to work and think. Entrepreneurial Success by Colin Sprague.
Yes.
Entrepreneurial Success Recipe is a great book. There's so many. My encouragement to you is just read, pick up stuff, find things that interest you. We're talking about Teresa de Gravois' Mass Influence today. Great book. Lots of good choices.
Yes. And don't forget about Talking with Giants. Can people get a hold of some of your books, especially the one you just wrote?
Yeah, Talking with Giants. Without customers, you got nothing. It's really funny. I got a friend who is the CEO of a $3 billion company, and he said, that title doesn't work. I said, why not? He said, it's not grammatically correct. And I said, well, without customers, what do you got? He goes, you got nothing. I said, exactly.
There you go. Sold.
Yeah, without customers, you got nothing. You can, Amazon, you can go to scottschilling.com, talkingwithgiants.com. There's a number of places to get them. Would love to just reach out to me. I mean, I try to disguise my email as much as I can. It's scott@scottschilling.com. So send me an email and we'll figure it out, right?
And what is the best way if people want to work with you? Like, we know how to get to you by email, but is your website that you want people to check out? What is the process that you use?
You know what? I'm really easy to get along with. Just reach out by email. Go to scottschilling.com. Go to talkingwithgiants.com. You'll get a feel for who I am and what I do and how I do it. Certainly out on YouTube and a variety of places there, you can see some of the talks I do. But just email me, scott@scottschilling.com, and say, hey, I heard you babbling on, and want to find out more.
Scott, I want to thank you. I really appreciate the time that you've taken tonight. I'm grateful for the opportunity to reconnect with you. It's like we just picked up where we left off in conversation 6 years ago. It's been phenomenal. And I know I'll be seeing you a lot more here in the future. But what I enjoyed the most about our interview is your servant leader heart and how you really gave of yourself to all of the people listening and watching this YouTube video, and really extending your hand out to say, how can I lift you up? How can I get you to the level that you want to be at? And I want to acknowledge you for doing that.
You know, it's just fun. You know, it's the same thing. I spoke at a group on Thursday, and another woman that I had fallen out of touch with, but we probably knew each other for about 12 years. And all of a sudden I spoke at an event a month ago, and she saw me and she was like, oh my God, how does this happen? And so then she asked me to come speak to her group. And it's the same thing. When you work from a place of service, the reason that we can go 6 years without talking, the reason you can go 12 years. Now, I'm not suggesting that's the best path, by the way, but the reason you can is when you develop a relationship based on service and based on really care and concern for the other person. The fact is that relationship becomes timeless.
Yes.
That's why I encourage it.
Very true. So I'm going to let you have the last word here, Scott. So what final words of advice would you love to have with our audience?
You know, just want you to know, watch every one of Deborah's shows, because she's got fabulous guests. She's delivering great information, and make sure that you watch them more than once to go back and really get and glean the information. There are nuggets available all the time. And if there's anything that I can ever do to be of service to you, please feel free to call on me. I can't control whether you do it, but I can only control if I offer it. That's my offer.
That's fabulous. We don't ask enough, and we don't offer enough to say, hey, take him up on his offer. I have had complimentary discovery sessions, and I put them out there, and, I'm still waiting for some of those people, just waiting to see when they're ready to take their next step. So it's very powerful.
Yep.
Scott Schilling, it's been a treat as always. Thank you so much for coming on the show. For those of you who have just listened, this might be your first podcast that you ever listened to. Wasn't he a rock star? I want you to share it. I want you to write a review. Give us a 5-star high five and share this with people, because you could be that one person who changes another person's life. All we have to do is change one person's life to really make a difference and start creating that ripple effect.
Yep.
So again, we're talking about leadership, business, and human potential principles that are going to help you live rich from the inside out. And really stressing to you that unless you start implementing some of these nuggets, those changes that you're searching for aren't going to happen until you come from a place of service. Start using that filter to navigate some of those life obstacles. See if they fit right for you. And, email Scott about, life purpose statements and really digging into the meat of it.
Mm-hmm.
We would love for you to sign up for the Success Secrets newsletter that comes out. You can go to my website at www.deborahkozowski.com. And we have some free stuff. I'm working on some new great stuff for you. So make sure you get yourself on the list. Otherwise, you're going to miss out on everything. That's so cool, and all my guests. So as Muhammad Gandhi said, be the change you wish to see in the world. And for me to wish you to make today great.